ChatGPT said, the metal crutches pressed into the damp ground while Milo trailed the strange blue glow dancing between the pine trunks. Sweat ran down 12-year-old Milo Finnegan's face, despite the crisp mountain air. His arms ached under the strain of holding himself up, the aluminum crutches biting into his armpits with every slow step. Both his legs, sealed inside heavy white fiberglass casts, marked with friend scribbles and goofy doodles, pulsed with a constant dull pain that the medicine never fully erased. 6 weeks since the climbing accident, he reminded himself. And another month to go before the doctors might even think about taking them off. Just a little farther, Milo whispered, adjusting his small backpack that held a drone controller and a water bottle. The forest floor was a trap of roots and hidden dips, each one ready to send him sprawling. If his mother found out he'd gone this far from Uncle Remy's cabin alone, she'd absolutely kill him. But what else could he do? Spend all summer indoors, watching old streamers, while his friends uploaded their adventures? Uncle Remy wasn't even his real uncle's, just Mom's quirky college buddy who'd moved to these remote mountains 7 years ago, chasing something authentic, whatever that meant. His parents thought it was a perfect plan. Milo needed supervision while he recovered, and with both of them unable to take 3 months off work, Emmy's secluded cabin-on spare bedroom seemed ideal. Time away from video games and the city, a chance to build character. They hadn't anticipated the soul-crushing boredom. The drone had been Mom's peace offering, the latest Peregrine X720 with extra-long battery life, obstacle sensors, and a camera sharp enough to spot a rabbit from half a kilometer away. Explore without getting hurt, she'd said, hoping technology would distract him from any reckless real-world adventures while his bones healed. For 3 weeks it worked. Milo had named the drone Hermes, sending it on intricate flight paths and mentally mapping the surrounding forest. But 3 days ago, everything changed. During a routine dusk flight, Hermes recorded a brief flash of blue light deep in the woods, just a flicker, then nothing. The next night it reappeared, glowing for almost 5 seconds. And tonight, with Uncle Remy passed out after 3 glasses of his homemade elderberry wine, Milo had slipped out with his crutches, drone controller, and an insatiable need to find out what it was. The hum of Hermes's rotors sliced through the cricket song as Milo steered the drone forward, its spotlight casting a pale beam along the trail. On the screen, a thermal overlay glowed faintly, showing only the small heat signatures of nearby squirrels. No signs of bears, mountain lions, or axe-wielding maniacs, the 3 threats Uncle Remy had listed in that exact order. Then the blue light flashed again, brighter this time, somewhere past the ridge ahead. The drone's sensors flagged it as a temperature anomaly. Not hot, not cold, just ... other. What are you? Milo muttered, edging Hermes closer to the glow, while dragging himself forward, step by aching step. Suddenly, the ground beneath his right crutch crumbled, and he fell with a sharp yelp. He hit the earth hard, pain lancing through his plastered legs, even with the soft forest floor cushioning the impact. Crud, crud, he groaned, rolling onto his back. Pine branches stretched overhead, framing a slice of starry sky. Drone hovered steadily nearby, its camera lens shifting to lock onto him. At least no one was around to see him faceplant so spectacularly. Once his breathing steadied, Milo heaved himself up and reclaimed his crutches. The blue glow was clearer. Now, visible without Hermes's lens. Gripping tighter, he pushed forward with fresh resolve. Cresting the ridge, the source of the light finally emerged, and Milo froze, breath caught in his chest. Below, a stream snaked across the forest floor, its surface flickering with silver as moonlight danced on the water. But it was the colossal shape resting partly submerged that held Milo's gaze, a massive cylindrical structure of metal, nothing like he'd ever seen before. It looked vaguely like a giant jet engine, except it sprouted angular fins and odd panels that didn't match anything built on Earth. Blue light pulsed rhythmically from a hollow in its side, throwing eerie, shifting shadows across the nearby trees. Holy ... what is that? Milo breathed, guiding Hermes to orbit the object for a closer look. The drone's camera captured finer details, strange symbols engraved into the metallic skin. Ask ChatGPT. Milo steered the drone forward, its spotlight casting a pale beam along the trail. On the screen, a thermal overlay glowed faintly, showing only the small heat signatures of nearby squirrels. No signs of bears, mountain lions, or axe-wielding maniacs, the three threats Uncle Remy had listed in that exact order. Then the blue light flashed again, brighter this time, somewhere past the ridge ahead. The drone's sensors flagged it as a temperature anomaly. Not hot, not cold, just ... other. "What are you?" Milo muttered, edging Hermes closer to the glow, while dragging himself forward, step by aching step. Suddenly, the ground beneath his right crutch crumbled, and he fell with a sharp yelp. He hit the earth hard, pain lancing through his plastered legs, even with the soft forest floor cushioning the impact. "Crud, crud," he groaned, rolling onto his back. Pine branches stretched overhead, framing a slice of starry sky. Drone hovered steadily nearby, its camera lens shifting to lock onto him. At least no one was around to see him faceplant so spectacularly. Once his breathing steadied, Milo heaved himself up and reclaimed his crutches. The blue glow was clearer. Now, visible without Hermes' lens. Gripping tighter, he pushed forward with fresh resolve. Cresting the ridge, the source of the light finally emerged, and Milo froze, breath caught in his chest. Below, a stream snaked across the forest floor, its surface flickering with silver as moonlight danced on the water. But it was the colossal shape resting partly submerged that held Milo's gaze, a massive, cylindrical structure of metal, nothing like he'd ever seen before. It looked vaguely like a giant jet engine, except it sprouted angular fins and odd panels that didn't match anything built on Earth. Blue light pulsed rhythmically from a hollow in its side, throwing eerie, shifting shadows across the nearby trees. "Holy ... what is that?" Milo breathed, guiding Hermes to orbit the object for a closer look. The drone's camera captured finer details, strange symbols engraved into the metallic skin. Milo steered the drone forward, its spotlight casting a pale beam along the trail. On the screen, a thermal overlay glowed faintly, showing only the small heat signatures of nearby squirrels. No signs of bears, mountain lions, or axe-wielding maniacs, the three threats Uncle Remy had listed in that exact order. Then the blue light flashed again, brighter this time, somewhere past the ridge ahead. The drone's sensors flagged it as a temperature anomaly. Not hot, not cold, just ... other. "What are you?" Milo muttered, edging Hermes closer to the glow, while dragging himself forward, step by aching step. Suddenly, the ground beneath his right crutch crumbled, and he fell with a sharp yelp. He hit the earth hard, pain lancing through his plastered legs, even with the soft forest floor cushioning the impact. "Crud, crud," he groaned, rolling onto his back. Pine branches stretched overhead, framing a slice of starry sky. Drone hovered steadily nearby, its camera lens shifting to lock onto him. At least no one was around to see him faceplant so spectacularly. Once his breathing steadied, Milo heaved himself up and reclaimed his crutches. The blue glow was clearer. Now, visible without Hermes' lens. Gripping tighter, he pushed forward with fresh resolve. Cresting the ridge, the source of the light finally emerged, and Milo froze, breath caught in his chest. Below, a stream snaked across the forest floor, its surface flickering with silver as moonlight danced on the water. But it was the colossal shape resting partly submerged that held Milo's gaze, a massive, cylindrical structure of metal, nothing like he'd ever seen before. It looked vaguely like a giant jet engine, except it sprouted angular fins and odd panels that didn't match anything built on Earth. Blue light pulsed rhythmically from a hollow in its side, throwing eerie, shifting shadows across the nearby trees. "Holy ... what is that?" Milo breathed, guiding Hermes to orbit the object for a closer look. The drone's camera captured finer details, strange symbols engraved into the metallic skin. Milo's attempt to descend the ridge on crutches was both painful and ridiculously slow. Twice he nearly toppled, saved only by clutching saplings that bent alarmingly under his weight. At last he reached the forest floor and paused, gulping air, while Hermes hovered, monitoring the strange structure. The drone's battery icon flashed yellow. 30% charge left. Enough to investigate, but not enough to explore and fly home without risk. He'd have to move fast. Approaching cautiously, Milo's senses buzzed with awe. The thing was huge easily. 30 feet long and 15 feet across. Up close, its surface shimmered with an iridescent sheen, shifting between dark blue and gunmetal gray depending on how the light struck it. No manufacturer's marks, no national insignia. Nothing to suggest. It was built by human hands. Ask ChatGPT. Ask ChatGPT. This is impossible, Milo muttered as he reached the water's edge. The stream was shallow but fast, maybe 8 feet across. The cylindrical object rested partially submerged, forming a small dam that caused water to pool around it. Hermes hovered near the open section of the vessel, its video feed making Milo's mouth go dry. The inside looked like a command center seats, control panels lit with buttons and displays marked by alien symbols. Despite the apparent crash, it seemed almost functional. Shoving aside the overwhelming thought that he'd discovered something not of this earth, Milo tried to focus. He had to document everything, but more than that. He had to find a way inside. The entry point was about 15 feet away across the stream, and 4 feet above the water's surface. For anyone with working legs, it would have been a simple hop and climb. For Milo, it might as well have been on another planet. Let's try something, he said aloud, piloting Hermes toward the opening. The drone floated through effortlessly, its camera revealing an interior that was shockingly intact. The blue light pulsed from a glowing cylinder mounted toward the back of the chamber. Milo guided Hermes with care, weaving around instruments and panels to record everything from different angles. The tech inside was beyond anything he could comprehend. No flat screens, but holographic projections shimmering above curved consoles. Symbols flowed continuously across them, shifting yet seemingly organized. As Hermes neared the pilot seats, something startling happened. A beam of light shot from a panel, scanning the drone from top to bottom. Milo nearly fumbled the controller. In shock, the beam vanished, and for a moment, nothing else occurred. Then the whole interior brightened, displays flaring to life, and a voice echoed not in English or any human tongue, but as a melodic sequence of tones and clicks that somehow carried a sense of urgency. On Milo's controller, a red warning appeared: foreign object detected, biological entity verification required. Fascinated and terrified at once, Milo whispered, "It's alive," eased Hermes back slightly, and the voice ceased. Yet the symbols on the projections kept flowing faster. Now, as if the system was fully awake and running diagnostics, Milo knew what he had to do. He needed to see it with his own eyes, not just through Hermes' lens. Somehow, he had to cross the stream and climb inside. He scanned the surroundings for options. The stream wasn't deep, maybe ankle to mid-calf, but trudging through it with casts would be a disaster. The fiberglass would be soaked and ruined, his legs forever compromised. Maybe he could build a bridge. Some fallen logs lay nearby, but they were too heavy for him to move alone. He could return to the cabin for supplies, but leaving the site unattended felt like an awful idea. Then a new sound vibrated through his crutches, a low, rhythmic hum. From the craft, the blue light pulsing in time with it, each glow brighter than the last. "That can't be good," Milo muttered, instinctively backing away. The hum deepened, and then a wider beam of light burst from the opening, sweeping across the area until it locked onto him. Unlike the scanning beam from before, this one was intense, forcing him to squint. A voice returned, and then suspended in mid. A holographic figure shimmered into view. It was humanoid, translucent, tinged blue, wearing what looked like a uniform. It spoke again in that melodic, clicking language, gesturing toward the craft's opening. "I don't understand," Milo said, knowing it was useless, but compelled to answer. "I can't get in." My legs are broken. The hologram tilted, its head vanishing. Then reappeared this time, showing a sequence of images. A person approaching the craft, entering, sitting in the control seat. Then their legs healing. Milo's breath caught. Are you saying you can fix my legs? Is that it? The hologram nodded on, unmistakably human gesture, and replayed the sequence. Then it added more. The person operating controls, the craft. Lifting off, flying through what looked like a tunnel of light and arriving somewhere else. Another planet? Another time? Milo couldn't tell. You want me to fly this thing? He asked, incredulous. I can barely fly a drone, and I can't even get inside with these. He gestured to his casts. The hologram vanished, returning. With fresh images, a scanning beam passing over Milo's body, unreadable text. Then a big red X stamped over the depiction of his legs. So, you can't heal me unless I'm inside. But I can't get inside because my legs are broken, Milo muttered wryly. Great classic catch-22. The hologram nodded again, seemingly grasping his frustration, even if not his words. It gestured once more to the opening, then vanished. The hum faded, and the blue light settled into its steady pulse again. Milo stood there, leaning on his crutches, facing the most astonishing discovery of his life, or anyone's life maybe end. Yet completely out of reach. The irony wasn't lost on him. After all the years of being called too small, too careful, too much of a bookworm for real adventures, here he was, standing before something extraordinary, held back by two broken legs. There has to be a way, Milo muttered, his voice steeled with determination. Irma still hovered by the opening, battery now showing 22%. Milo guided it back, toward him. I didn't crawl half a mile through the forest just to stare at this thing. A snap of twigs behind him made Milo whip around, nearly toppling over. His heart leapt as a flashlight beam cut through the trees. What in the name of all that's sensible are you doing out here, kid? Came Uncle Remy's familiar gravelly voice. The wiry, bearded man stepped out of the shadows, wearing plaid pajama pants and a t-shirt that read "Bigfoot doesn't believe in you either." His wild gray hair stood out in chaotic tufts, as if he'd recently survived an electrical mishap. Uncle Remy, Milo gasped, a mix of relief and disappointment. How did you even find me? You think I don't have motion sensors all over my property? Remy replied, sweeping his flashlight between Milo and the object. Been living alone in these woods for 7 years? I know when a squirrel farts within half a kilometer. He stopped beside Milo, mouth agape, as he took in the massive cylinder. Well, butter my backside and call me a biscuit. It's real. Milo turned to him, his earlier shock morphing into confusion. Wait, you know what this is? Remy's weathered face split into a grin, revealing teeth far too perfect for a man who looked half feral. Kid, I've been looking for this thing longer than you've been alive. He stepped closer, eyes bright with awe and satisfaction. That's the XR-773 Chronos Shuttle, temporal scout vehicle from roughly 7,800 years in the future. You're making that up, Milo stammered, though the evidence didn't exactly support his doubt. How would you even know that? Remy chuckled. But it was a humorless sound. Because Milo Finnegan, I'm not actually your mom's quirky college buddy. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small device, nothing like any phone Milo had ever seen. It glowed with the same blue hue as the craft. My real name isn't Remy Davidson. That was just a cover while I searched for this shuttle. I'm Security Commander Rem Temporal Authority Enforcement Division. You're 9,972. Milo stared, wondering if he'd hit his head harder than he thought. You're telling me you're from the future? The actual future? A future? Rem corrected, stepping toward the water's edge. One of many. Of many potential futures, to be exact. The one I'm from, let's just say it has issues. We're hoping to correct some developmental paths in this timeline. The weight of Rem's words finally started to sink into Milo's stunned mind. You've been sitting here for 7 years, just waiting for this time machine. 7 years, 2 months, 14 days, Rem corrected with a casual shrug. Time tracking isn't precise. We knew roughly when and where it would arrive, but our margin of error was about a decade. So, I was stationed here to wait. But why pretend to be friends with my mom? Why bring me here? Milo asked, suspicion creeping into his voice. Rem turned to him, his expression sober. Because we needed someone with the correct genetic markers to activate the shuttle's command systems. Someone young enough to adapt to the neural interface, someone from a very specific bloodline. He gave a thin, weary smile. Your mother's bloodline, specifically. Though we didn't plan on you showing up with both legs broken. Milo's thoughts raced. So my accident really was an accident. Completely unintended, Rem confirmed. Quite inconvenient, actually. Yet the shuttle refuses to accept an operator with significant biological injuries. Designed to reject compromised pilots? Milo's eyes narrowed. But the hologram showed Mitt can heal my legs. But only if I'm already inside. Exactly the problem. Oh, Rem nodded. The medical systems inside the shuttle could mend those breaks in minutes. But unless you're already aboard, the shuttle won't let you in, he sighed, raking. A hand through his wild hair. Brilliant design, isn't it? Military thinking at its absolute worst. Milo stared at the strange craft, his mind spinning with possibilities. So what now? We wait a month until my casts come off. Rem's face darkened. We don't have that kind of time. The shuttle's temporal anchor is degrading. About 72 hours, it'll initiate an automatic return protocol. When that happens, it creates a temporal displacement field that will. He hesitated. That will what? Milo pressed, dreading the answer. Wipe everything within. A 20-kilometer radius from the timeline, Rem said grimly. Gone, like it was never here. Ask ChatGPT. Asked ChatGPT. Besides, part of my training involves understanding native tech and target timelines. Helps blend and unhack things when necessary. Milo chuckled weakly, still watching as Rem attached the last wires. So this is your job, Time Cop with? A knack for DIY? Pretty much, Rem said with a grin. Temporal authority doesn't give us much support in the field. Improvisation is a survival skill. Milo shifted, his casts heavy and uncomfortable. And the blood sample? That's really enough to trick the shuttle, should be. And the genetic verification doesn't need a whole person. It's a viable sample linked to the authorized genome. Sequence. Your blood unlocks the system, and the drone's manipulator arm does the rest. Hermes looked strange now, less like a sleek consumer drone and more like a cobbled-together sci-fi gadget. Its new arm was delicate but flexible, and the inside carried tech far beyond anything Milo had seen. So, what's the plan? Milo asked. We send Hermes in, Rem explained. Once it's inside, it'll trigger the genetic scan with your sample, confirm authorization, then use the arm to access the medical protocols. If all goes well, the shuttle should drop its biological restrictions and let you in. Then you can get inside, let the systems heal your legs, and we avoid getting erased from time. If it doesn't work, Rem shrugged. Then we improvise again. Fast. Milo nodded, adrenaline wiping away any lingering exhaustion. Okay, let's do this. Rem finished the final connections and powered up Hermes. The modified drone whirred to life, leads glowing softly, and the strange future tech embedded in its frame came online with a quiet hum. Moment of truth, Rem said, holding up the controller. Ready? Milo's heart pounded, but he forced a nod. Ready. See it, Milo said, angling Hermes closer. The modified drone hovered over the basin, its shadow cutting. Across the glowing symbols. Good, Rem said, watching over his shoulder. Activate the Pro-Bright Auxiliary. Milo pressed the corresponding button, and on the controller's screen, the tiny probe extended from Hermes' underside. A faint hum resonated as the probe clicked into position. Now lower it gently into the indentation, Rem instructed. Milo carefully descended the drone, aligning the probe with the basin. As soon as it made contact, the console lit up in a flurry of symbols and pulses of light. The entire cabin seemed to stir. Holograms flickered. Projections reactivated, and that same musical voice from before spoke again, more urgently this time. Okay, now deliver the sample. Trigger button, Rem said. Milo squeezed the trigger. And the screen displayed a faint glow as Hermes injected the genetic sample into the port. The reaction was immediate. The console symbols shifted from red to green, the blue pulse intensifying and spreading through the cabin like veins lighting up. Verification accepted, Rem translated, his voice tense with excitement. It's working. On the controller screen, a new holographic display appeared, this time depicting the exterior of the shuttle. A flashing icon marked the side opening, accompanied by alien text. That's it, Rem exclaimed. It's activating the external medical emitter. The shuttle knows authorized biological material is nearby. Suddenly, a soft beam of blue light extended from the opening of the shuttle, sweeping outside like a searchlight, then locking onto Milo. Don't move, Rem warned. Milo froze as the light enveloped him. Warmth spread through his body, followed by a strange tingling sensation. The light narrowed, focusing on his casted legs. Within seconds, the uncomfortable pressure around his legs eased, as if the casts themselves were dissolving. I think it's doing something, Milo gasped, feeling heat and a gentle pull in his bones. Rem watched intently. It's regenerating the fractures. Hold still, let it finish. Milo could hardly breathe, not from pain, but from disbelief as the sensation intensified, then gradually faded. Moments later, the light withdrew. The casts, what was left of them, crumbled away in soft, brittle chunks.
Milo stared.
Wide, died, flexing his legs. I can move. It doesn't hurt. You're healed, Rem, confirmed with a grin. The medical system did it. You're officially shuttle approved now, kid. Milo stood, shaky but upright, for the first time in weeks. Rem said, clapping him on the shoulder. You've got a ship to claim? It says otherwise, Remile replied, eyeing the projection intently. The scan verified that your bones are mostly healed already, probably thanks to the regenerative prompts from the beam. The casts are just in the way now. Milo looked down, uncertain. But if you're wrong, if I'm wrong, you sit down and don't move. The shuttle's medical system just showed us the next step. Trust it or stay stuck and risk the whole place getting wiped from existence in 72 hours. Milo swallowed hard. His legs still felt fragile, but there was no pain, only that lingering tingling sensation from the beam. Slowly he sat on the tarp, hands shaking as he reached for the edge of one cast. Here, Remile said, fishing a small tool from his kit. Let me help. It'll go faster. With surprising gentleness, Remile worked the tool under the fiberglass, slicing through the material. The cast cracked, fragmenting easily, far easier than Milo expected. Within minutes, both legs were freed, pale and stiff, but unbroken. Milo wiggled his toes, then flexed his ankles. Still no pain. Carefully, he tried bending his knees, weak but steady. You're doing it, Remile encouraged. The beam accelerated healing already. Now, you just need the shuttle to finish the job. Milo exhaled slowly. Okay, let's try this. Using his arms for support, he pushed himself upright. His legs held. Wobbly, unsteady, but they held. You sure you're up for the climb? Remile asked, half concerned, half impressed. I have to be, Milo said, determination flashing in his eyes. With effort and Remile spotting him every step of the way, Milo made his way toward the shuttle. The opening loomed ahead, bathed in soft golden light. Almost there, Remile said quietly, watching Milo approach the threshold of history, or possibly the future. With one final push, Milo grabbed the edge of the opening and hauled himself inside. The shuttle responded instantly. Lights flared, systems activated, and a melodic voice announced something neither of them understood, but the meaning was clear. Milo was inside. The ship had accepted him, ChatGPT said. Breath Milo placed his foot into Remile's hands, feeling the solid boost as he pushed upward. His newly healed legs responded with strength he hadn't felt in weeks. With a grunt of effort, Milo grabbed the edge of the shuttle's opening and hauled himself inside. His muscles protested but held firm, and after an awkward scramble, he tumbled onto the smooth metallic floor of the craft. Instantly, the shuttle reacted. Lights brightened, holographic displays reformed in midair, and the melodic voice echoed. Again, this time with a welcoming tone that sent shivers down Milo's spine. "You did it." Ramile called up, his voice rich with pride and relief. "The shuttle's accepting you." Milo pushed himself upright, eyes wide as the interior systems came to life. The projections shifted to display diagrams, symbols, and planetary maps he couldn't decipher, but their vibrancy was unmistakable. Then, a new hologram formed directly in front of him, a humanoid figure dressed in an unfamiliar uniform, his features slightly blurred but undeniably attentive. It spoke again, in that musical language, and though Milo couldn't understand the words, the meaning felt clear. Authorization confirmed. Milo turned back to the opening, grinning down at Ramile. "I think it worked. I think I'm the pilot now." Ramile chuckled. "You'd better be. Otherwise we're all toast in less than 3 days." Milo glanced. Back at the controls, the seat waiting for him like a throne of the future. He approached it slowly, heart pounding. "What now?" he asked aloud, half to himself, half to the ship. The hologram raised a hand, gesturing toward the seat. Milo understood. He sat. The seat adjusted to his form immediately, strange lights scanning his body. A hum filled the air, a deep, resonant sound like the shuttle itself was breathing. And then, words clear and in English, this time echoed softly through the cabin Pilot recognized. "Temporal anchor reset initiated." Milo's eyes widened. "Did you hear that?" He shouted toward the opening. Ramile laughed. "Kit! You did it!" Milo exhaled, a mixture of relief, awe, and anticipation settling in his chest. He wasn't just a kid with a broken leg anymore. He was the pilot of a time machine. Ask ChatGPT-esque, ChatGPT-esque, ChatGPT-esque. Face shifted from satisfaction to alarm. That's not good," he muttered. Inside the shuttle, warning symbols flashed red across the displays. The same synthesized voice echoed. "Unauthorized operator presence detected. Security countermeasures active." Milo's pulse quickened. "Rem, the ship, it's locking the systems down. What do I do?" Ramile cupped his hands around his mouth, shouting up, "Stay calm. The shuttle has security subroutines designed to repel intrusions. It must have identified me as an unauthorized temporal agent. You need to assert command authority." "How?" Milo demanded, scanning the displays for any hint of what to do. "Tell the shuttle to recognize you as sole authorized pilot," Ramile called. "You're verified. It has to obey your commands." Heart pounding, Milo turned to the nearest console. Where holographic controls hovered and the voice repeated its warnings, he steadied his breath. "I'm Milo Finnegan," he declared, trying to keep his voice firm. "The verified pilot of this shuttle. Override security protocols. I order you to recognize me as the only authorized operator." For a tense moment, the shuttle remained silent. Then the lights pulsed and the red symbols froze. The melodic voice returned, calmer this time. Command authority confirmed. Security protocols disengaged. Unauthorized presence remains external to craft. Monitoring only. Milo let out a shaky breath, slumping into the pilot's chair. "I think it worked." Ramile, visibly relieved, nodded from below. "Good job, kid." "That was close. The system flagged me because I'm not from your timeline's approved chain of command. But as long as you're inside and in control, it won't act further." Milo scanned the displays again. "Okay, the temporal anchor is still degrading. How do I reset it?" Ramile pointed up. "There should be a control labeled anchor recalibration or something similar. It might now display in English." Eyes darted across the panel until he spotted it. A control labeled anchor recalibration. "Status critical." "I see it," Milo said. "Here goes nothing." He pressed the control. The shuttle shuddered slightly, lights rippling through the panels. "Temporal anchor recalibration in progress," the shuttle announced. "Projected stabilization, 93%, 95%. Complete." Milo grinned. "It's working." Milo laughed from below. A sound of genuine relief. "You did it, Milo. The timeline's safe for now." Milo leaned back, adrenaline giving way to exhilaration. So, ... What next? Remiel grinned up at him. Now, kid, we teach you how to fly through time. Milo stood his ground, hands trembling but voice steady. You said it yourself, Remiel. The shuttle recognized me, not you. That means you were never supposed to have it. Remiel's eyes burned with fury. You're a naive fool, Milo. Do you think the temporal authority are the good guys? They enforce stagnation, they preserve suffering, all in the name of maintaining the timeline. I was trying to improve things by wiping people out before they're even born, Milo shot back. That's not improving things, that's playing God, Remiel snarled and raised the glowing device. This is your last chance, Milo. Open the hatch or I will break in, and when I do, there won't be a regeneration beam to save you. Inside the shuttle, the displays flickered and the voice returned. Warning, hostile entity detected. Defensive. Measures available. Awaiting pilot authorization. Milo's pulse raced. He looked at the controls, then back at Remiel. This man who'd lied to him, used him, and planned to manipulate the entire timeline for his own agenda. He took a breath. Stahl, Milo said, voice firm. Authorized defensive measures. Keep Remiel away from this ship. Authorization confirmed, the shuttle replied. From beneath the hull, panels shifted with mechanical precision. Energy emitters extended, glowing with the same golden light as the medical beam, but sharper, more focused. Remiel's expression flickered from rage to alarm. You have no idea what you're unleashing, kid. He spat, backing away as the emitters began to hum ominously. Milo didn't flinch. Stay away, Remiel. You're not getting this shuttle. For the first time, genuine fear crossed the temporal agent's face. Without another word, he turned and vanished into the trees, his form swallowed by the shadows. The hum of the emitter subsided, the shuttle's voice steady once more. Threat. Neutralized. Awaiting further instructions, Pilot Finnegan. Milo let out a shaky breath, his knees weak, but his resolve unbroken. Thanks. He whispered to the shuttle. He'd survived. But he knew this was only the beginning. Protocol requires debriefing and assessment of all individuals involved in temporal incidents, the shuttle explained. You will likely be questioned, evaluated for timeline contamination, and provided with memory modification if deemed necessary. Milo's stomach twisted. Memory modification, you mean? They'd make me forget all of this? Possibly, the shuttle replied evenly. Temporal integrity is their highest priority. However, as recognized pilot of the XR-773 Kronos shuttle, you hold a unique status that may influence their decision. Milo sat back in the chair, mind racing. After everything, the accident, the discovery, the pain, the healing, and now, this he might lose it all to some future bureaucracy. No, he whispered. I don't want to forget. I earned this. I survived this. The shuttle remained silent, awaiting further instructions. Milo glanced at the stasis field outside where Remiel stood frozen, weapon still raised. He'd stopped a time criminal. He'd reset the anchor. And soon, agents from the far future would arrive, people who controlled time itself. But for now, for the first time in weeks, absorbing every lesson, every fragment of future knowledge the shuttle shared. Holographic displays projected interactive models of advanced technologies, timelines, and the complex ethics of time travel. By the time a distant hum signaled the arrival of the temporal authority, Milo felt like days had passed. He'd learned more in hours than any classroom had ever taught him. The shuttle alerted him. Temporal authority vessel approaching. Estimated contact in 3 minutes. Milo stood, legs strong beneath him, heart pounding not with fear but anticipation. Outside, the stasis field still held Remiel frozen mid-threat. A rift of shimmering light opened just beyond the trees, and figures in sleek silver uniforms stepped through, eyes sharp, movements precise. As they approached, Milo straightened his shoulders. He wasn't just a kid with broken legs anymore. He was Pilot Milo Finnegan, recognized by a machine from the future. And maybe his adventure was only beginning. Eyes bleary but mind alight, surrounded by flickering holograms that displayed schematics of machines yet to be invented, models of societal evolutions, and glimpses of human expansion among the stars. His head buzzed with concepts of energy manipulation, temporal mechanics, and ethics that made his school lessons feel like finger painting. He didn't notice the hours pass until the shuttle interrupted. Temporal authority vessel arrival imminent. 5 minutes. Milo stood slowly, stretching his newly healed legs, reluctant to stop. Shuttle, he asked, will they really let me keep these memories? Unknown. However, your eligibility has been flagged. I have transmitted a formal request for observer status on your behalf. Milo nodded, heart racing. He had no idea what these future agents would be like, but deep down, he knew his life had already changed forever. Outside, the shimmer of a portal tore open the air. His figure stepped through, gleaming armor, visors, reflecting the forest around them, purpose in every stride. One of them raised a hand toward the shuttle. This is the Temporal Authority. Identify yourself, pilot. Milo took a breath and stepped to the hatch. I'm Milo Finnegan, he said, voice steady, and I think I just saved your shuttle. Agents paused, their leader tilting their head. Interesting, the voice replied, modulated but not unkind. Let's discuss that inside. And just like that, Milo realized this was only the beginning. Ask ChatGPT. Even more imposing, tall, confident, and clearly accustomed to situations far stranger than Milo could imagine. Commander Voss was the first to speak, her sharp silver eyes studying Milo with curiosity rather than suspicion. You're younger than I expected, Pilot Finnegan. I wasn't exactly planning to find a time machine, Milo muttered. Captain Reyes, broader and darker-skinned, offered a faint smile. None of us ever do. Dr. Chang petite, with dark eyes that missed. Nothing was already examining the shuttle's systems, her fingers moving over holographic controls. Systems show successful anchor reset. That alone is impressive for a pre-contact human. Voss nodded. You've stabilized the temporal anchor. That suggests you're more than just lucky. She tapped her wrist device. Our records show. A temporal observer request logged on your behalf. You're aware of what that means? I think so, Milo said. I get to remember, but I can't tell anyone. Essentially, yes, Voss agreed. Provided you're deemed suitable. Hello. Swallowed, nerves kicking in. And, am I? Voss exchanged glances with her team. Preliminary assessment says yes. You show resilience, adaptability, and moral judgment qualities the authority values. But the final decision rests with the Oversight Council. What about Remile? Milo asked, gesturing outside to the frozen figure. Remile will be remanded to authority custody, Reyes said darkly. His crimes across timelines are numerous. You did well containing him. Dr. Chang turned to Milo with a curious expression. You also interface with the shuttle's knowledge base. How much did it show you? Milo hesitated. Lot. But not everything, I think. Chang smiled slightly. Good. The shuttle's protocols are intact. Voss stepped closer, her tone softening. You did something remarkable here, Milo. Most in your position would have run or worse, tried to exploit what they didn't understand. Milo shrugged. I just didn't want my town, or me, to get erased. A sound motivation, Voss said approvingly. She glanced around. We'll need to debrief you fully, but not here. We'll take you forward temporarily for evaluation and memory conditioning. Conditioning? Allo? Asked warily. Just safeguards, Cheng assured him. To help you keep the secret, nothing invasive. And then I come back? To your time, yes, Voss confirmed. Same place, same momentor, as close as practical. But with knowledge few in your era will ever have. Milo took a deep breath, excitement and fear warring inside him. Okay. I'm ready. Good, Voss said. Prepare for temporal transition with passenger. Acknowledged, the shuttle replied, as the representatives activated. Their devices, a shimmering portal began to form within the shuttle itself. Light rippling like water. You're about to see things no one in your time ever should, Boss said, her expression soft but firm. Stay sharp, Milo Finnegan. Milo stepped forward, pulse racing, and crossed the threshold into the future. Special designation granted by the temporal authority that allows an individually, someone from a pre-technological or pre-contact era to retain memories of interactions with advanced temporal technologies or future events. This status comes with strict confidentiality rules, prohibiting the sharing of specific technological or temporal knowledge to avoid altering the timeline. Nakamura exemption, a rare and specific clause within temporal authority regulations that permits individuals genetically linked to certain important future figures in this case. The shuttle's designer or a related lineage to keep memories of temporal events without enforced memory modification. This exemption recognizes that temporal adaptation traits can pass through family lines long before the actual technology exists. Temporal Adaptation Index, a measure of an individual's genetic and physiological potential to interact with or be affected by temporal phenomena such as time travel or time manipulation technology. A high index indicates an increased ability to safely interface with such advanced technologies. Summary from the passage. Milo Finnegan has been granted Provisional Temporal Observer status because of his high temporal adaptation index and his genetic relation to the shuttle's designer. Normally, people who witness advanced temporal technology have their memories altered to prevent timeline contamination. But Milo qualifies for an exemption, the Nakamura exemption, allowing him to keep his memories. He must not share specific technological details or else face severe consequences, likely including punitive actions from the temporal authority. The decision balances security risks minimal due to the era's limited tech and communication, and the benefits of retaining Milo's knowledge temporal observer status finalization. Milo agrees to the strict terms, including memory modification restrictions, meaning he cannot share certain sensitive details about what he experienced or the technology he encountered. Temporal bureaucracy. He undergoes extensive administrative procedures, signing holographic documents, giving biological samples, and receiving a subdermal implant to monitor his temporal integration status. This implant likely tracks his compliance and temporal stability. Fate of Ramail Uncle Remy. Ramail is taken away by temporal authority. Representatives to stand trial for serious crimes involving timeline manipulation. His justification, pruning the timeline, reflects a temporal supremacist ideology. The dangerous belief that one can perfect the future by forcibly eliminating certain genetic or historical elements. The authorities exist to prevent such harmful interference, as the timeline tends to fight back like an immune system against such disruptions. Return and removal of shuttle. The advanced temporal technology the shuttle cannot remain in the pre-contact era because it poses a massive risk of temporal contamination. The shuttle will be taken back to the future. Causal loop and inspiration. Milo learns that his discovery and experience are part of a causal loop. His actions today influence and inspire future generations, including his descendants who will work on temporal technology. This ties into the complex non-linear nature of time, timeline adjustment, and cover story to maintain timeline integrity. The authorities have adjusted local records and arranged a plausible explanation for Ramail's sudden disappearance and Milo's early return home. A neighbor will watch over Milo until his parents arrive, who will be told that Ramail had to leave suddenly. Medical records are altered to show Milo's accelerated recovery from his leg injuries, ensuring no suspicious discrepancies arise. These measures help keep the timeline consistent and prevent temporal contamination by minimizing anomalies or unexpected changes. Final preparations and departure. Commander Voss and Dr. Chang complete the cleanup and preparation for temporal jump. The shuttle hums and pulses, signaling imminent departure. This marks the end of the extraordinary encounter. Farewell and future possibilities? Milo asks if he'll see them again. They say it's unlikely but possible, especially given his high temporal adaptation index, meaning he might be contacted in the future as a temporal observer. Milo is recognized as a natural at adapting to temporal anomalies, hinting at his Potential future involvement with the temporal authority, oath and responsibility, Commander Voss reminds Milo of his oath as a temporal observer, underscoring the serious responsibility now carries to keep these secrets and safeguard the timeline. Vanishing of the shuttle with a flash and a ripple of space-time. The shuttle and the temporal vessels vanish completely, leaving no trace behind, not even environmental damage. Only Milo remains, physically healed and mentally transformed. The implant. The small implant behind Milo's ear is a silent, invisible mark of his new status, an indelible link to the future, a reminder of the burden and privilege of knowledge. Causal loop and legacy. The narrative circles back to the shuttle's origin designed by Milo's descendants and sent into the past, waiting for him to find it. This loop exemplifies how time is interconnected and nonlinear. Milo's journey influences his descendants, and their work influences his past, weaving a seamless tapestry. Hope and secrecy. Milo will keep the secret, honoring his oath. He has a story to carry, a story that blends wonder, mystery, and responsibility. Though he walks an ordinary life now, he's forever changed, bearing knowledge few others can comprehend.